Hello and welcome to the Throwing Hands Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the ultimate showdown between action heroes and horror movie slashers. It's going to be a brutal and intense competition as four of the greatest action heroes of all time face off against some of the most terrifying villains. In the red corner, we have John Rambo, John Wick, James Bond, and John McClane. And in the blue corner, we have Ghostface, Michael Myers, Leatherface, and Chucky from Child's Play. They'll be facing off in a tournament one-on-one to see who is the deadliest warrior. Alright, and we'll be judging this competition with my panel of guests. Starting from my left, there is Michael.
Hello.
Marcel.
What's up?
Don't know your name.
Miranda, hi.
Tristan.
Alright. And the way this works for the Throwing Hands podcast is there is a bracket where all of these characters are randomized and pitted up against each other to decide who would win each individual fight. And then each time after we do the episode, we'll update the bracket, push the characters forward, and decide who will face off at the end. So, to decide each of these fights, we'll be basing it off of the following. Speed. How fast is the fighter? How can they dodge attacks and move quickly in battle? Endurance. Fighting technique. Intelligence. Special abilities, if there are any. Experience. Tactical prowess. Weaknesses. Overall combat effectiveness. And equipment. Alright. And to start off the very first episode and the very first fight of our tournament, we have John Wick versus Ghostface. Now, for each combatant, they will begin off in a abandoned warehouse, which will be the place for all of the fights for the tournament. Each member of the team, or each person in the combat, will be given standard equipment, no outside help, and it is a fight to the first one to either be left unconscious, or unable to fight, or dead. For this first fight, John Wick has 2 TTI Glocks and 9mm, 2 mags each. 1 mag each, but 2 mags total. The golden coins, car keys, a pencil, and a Bali song knife. Ghostface has a Buck 120 hunting knife, a Glock 17 with 1 clip, garrote wire, voice changer, radios, and his bulletproof vest. John Wick also has his moderately bulletproof suit. The thing wasn't stopping a lot of bullets. Alright, before we get into any of the grading scales, I want everybody's opinion starting from my right. Predictions, any thoughts before we get into it, questions, anything. Tristan.
I think it's going to be a really close fight overall, especially if you account in the radios and other things that Ghostface has. It can be very useful to his almost illusionary effect of I'm here, I'm not here, which could very much get over on John because he does not do well with surprises.
Fair.
But in hand-to-hand, I think John might actually take this.
I feel like if we're going by like tactical prowess and like strategy, probably John, just because there's a lot less that hinders him. Like with Ghostface, a lot of things get in his way, like his cloak and everything else, and like he's prone to being accident prone, but John's more like strategic and he's able to move gracefully. So I think John Wick.
Michael?
I also think John Wick's gonna win. I do think Ghostface can use some of his more unique tools and weapons to his advantage, but overall, I think John Wick is more tactical than Ghostface overall.
All right. So, I let's just start off with I'm giving it to John Wick all the way.
Okay.
So, if we're breaking this down a little bit, equipment. First and foremost, we have a person who is trained in firearms, trained in martial arts, trained in, just hand-to-hand combat. Then we have, with that person, we also gave him 2 guns, mags, and a couple other things that, will work in his favor. Granted, Ghostface has his, unique knife. He does have his bulletproof vest. I will say he does have a few kills under his belt, but they are just normal civilians. Which, and there's what, 1 or 2 people who attempted to fight back that didn't really go well. But he is out there killing civilians. Don't get me wrong. They're not going after, trained people. So, we go back to John Wick, who has killed 100 or plus of actual trained assassins, and has come out on top, and just essentially went against the whole organization of assassins, and has still come out on top. So I just overall got to give it to John Wick.
Hey, you. All right. So our battle begins in this abandoned warehouse in the middle of nowhere at night. Based on each of the categories, you will grade it 1 to 10, and we will add up the final score. So I will go over each of the individual categories. We will give a score to each of them, and then at the end, we'll add it all up. And if there's a tie or if it's a little off, we'll go over X Factor. We'll go over the panel after we've talked about everything to get everyone's general idea of what they think. So who they think should win, who they think shouldn't, things they didn't consider, and then we'll give a final resolution, and then we'll hype the next fight, which will be later on. All right. With that being said, we'll start with physical strength. How strong is the fighter? Can they lift heavy objects or overpower opponents? We are going with the Ghostface from the third movie, who seemed to be a bit superhumanly strong in comparison to the average person, everyone in that movie. So, yeah, we'll start with Tristan. Ghostface, what would you rate Ghostface strength if you can remember the third movie? It wasn't good. I'd say it isn't worth all that remembering, but it is the best representation of a strong Ghostface. So
Yeah, and this is like on a scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
On strength, because like he was like abnormally strong in that movie, I'm gonna have to say like a 7.
7. Okay.
Wait, before we get to the scaling part of it and the strength, we need a baseline and a 1 compared to this character, 10 compared to this. 10 being like base.
5 is base human average for this.
Okay.
5 is average, and it's relative to this fight. I would say 5 is dead center average.
Average adult.
So average adult male being able to at least bench press and deadlift their own body weight.
Cool. All right. Now that we have that for
Yes.
scaling purposes.
Yeah, my answer still doesn't change.
Still 7?
Definitely still a 7.
I don't know. I'd say like maybe a 6. I wasn't all that impressed with it, honestly. Like, I don't know.
Michael?
I would also agree with a 6. I think Ghostface in particular is not usually too strong. Sure, he's a bit stronger in the third movie, but
Average.
if you're talking about like more slasher movie villains, I feel like Ghostface is one of the more standard, average,
That's
human
fair.
strength levels. Honestly,
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I'm just going off of the first 2 movies because I haven't seen the third one. I would also agree with a 6 or a 7, probably leaning a little bit more towards 7.
All right, and I would agree with a 6 or a 7. Even in the first movies, it's like what, a jock and a nerdy kid, and the second one's grown man, but no, not much greater than a normal one. And the third movie's the exemption from all the other ones, where he's significantly stronger. And though that's the one we're going with, you only see him really up against a few adult males and primarily a bunch of like like college age, maybe adult age
kids.
women and kids. And he has some moments, but overall, gonna go 6. So 6 for Ghostface for strength. John Wick. I'm gonna go out on this one for the beginning of this 5, dead average. I don't remember seeing him, and he gets his ass beat by whoever Common plays in the second movie. He's significantly weaker than someone roughly the same size as him, but more muscular, so he has average male strength.
I think we could probably all agree with 5 because he really.
Yeah, it's a solid 5. He's more so he knows how to use.
He's tactical with weapons. Yeah. He's tactical with weapons, but he's pretty much just an average male.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, he
Nothing
doesn't
special.
lift. He's really just
solid
fight
5.
trained.
All right, so we got a 6 to 5 for physical strength, in favor of Ghostface. Speed. How fast is the fighter? Can they dodge attacks? Can they move quickly in battle?
I will have to give John a 7 because he does dodge. There's a couple scenes he's dodged a couple knives thrown at him. He's dodged a bullet. He's dodged a sword. So all require a little bit higher than average, agility.
Yeah.
You guys can go. Yeah, go for
I
it.
think I absolutely agree with that. I mean, he's obviously shown a capability of being able to be not abnormally fast, but have a very good agility to him that would definitely.
Very good reaction time.
Yeah, his reaction time is really, really good.
I feel like he gets that because of his assassin's training too, so it makes him like kind of level up almost with the speed and the tactility.
I would have given it a little higher if this John Wick, if this was pre-marriage John Wick, I probably would give him a little higher because he was in his prime at that time. During this time, he's been married, out of the game for how long?
Yeah,
and is now just randomly coming back.
I kind of want to play devil's advocate for this one. He's a bit above average for the reaction time. Like, he can dodge stuff and so on, but there's so much throughout the movies where he just kind of takes it on the chin and responds in kind, and he just kind of survives it. Even his fight with the 60-year-old mob boss, he's getting hit, cut, stabbed throughout the entire fight, and they're both on about equal footing. Both have been shot a bunch, hit a bunch, and he's no better at reacting than a 60-year-old man.
I'm gonna still give him a 7, honestly.
I'm giving a 6. He's 60.
But he's
And
also
he's not
a
in this-
mob boss. Though.
Yeah, which means most of his job is sitting back here like Don Corleone and just...
He knows how to take
Yeah,
care of
but-
business, though, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, you really.
There are plenty of 60-year-olds that have not. I don't know.
Because you also got to remember, John's been off the horse for a little while, so he's
True.
not training. Where that mafioso boss has probably at least like kept up on his agility and his fight style.
Yeah.
How many mob bosses with millions have to do anything?
You still got to have a level of respect and the power of like, if you talk back to me, I can handle it my own. I just
Bang.
won't.
That's it. A heavy right hand and a gun. I'll give him a 6. I can't in all consciousness give him a 7 because
I'm gonna stick with the 7.
once again the fight with Common's bodyguard character in the second movie shows that while you can tell that he has the skill, the body isn't there for it anymore because Common whoops his ass, and he only survives not dying because he gets into the Continental. Because he was going to die.
So if we break this up a little bit, foot speed, my man's a 4. In every single one of the movies,
Yeah, that man is slow.
In like actual running speed, you're getting caught every which way by everything.
I'd say his movement speed is kind of slow. His reaction time great.
Yes.
His actual combat, like moving his hands around to get stuff out of the way, a lot of times it's just too slow it avoids a lethal blow, but it doesn't stop he's not pulling a Donnie Yen and like slap your hand away, hit you 4 times in the face, and then kick you over.
Yeah.
So 6 is all I can give him.
I think I could agree with a 6 after that.
All right, 6.
Yeah, solid 6.
Yeah,
All right, Ghostface. Give that motherfucker 4.
I
He's
was gonna
solid
say
4. 4 all the way.
That-
in every way, 4.
That's not fast at all. When he goes to dodge, most of the time he fumbles because he just.
I'm gonna
can't
even give him
grab.
a 3. Honestly,
You wanna give him
he's clumsy.
all I can remember is the first movie where he's running down the girl who's butt naked, running through the yard, and he's struggling to catch her with a head start.
Remember in the bathroom, like the scene in the bathroom in the school where he comes flying out and goes falling on his face?
Yes.
He falls all the time. He is not agile. He's not.
He is not dressed for speed. The costume and the mask will hinder him no matter what.
He trips over everything.
Without the element of surprise, he is. Actually, I think I'm going to change mine to what Michael said. I'm giving him a 3. He's just too clumsy. Because I was taking 4 for just like him being slightly below average movement speed because of the outfit. But then I think, no, he's falling on his face half the time.
I mean, you have to think most horror movie slashers just walk, and they are still better at catching people than Ghostface is running full speed.
That is sad.
True, and this motherfucker's running. I mean, and that's the
full
problem
sprint.
is he runs knowing he's gonna fall. Like I don't understand how he's killed anybody. I've always wondered that because he's always falling. Like, don't they hear him?
Maybe he's like maybe he has like a stunt extra, and it just comes on and stabs for him. It's like, man, you suck at this. I mean, in the first movie, he technically did because there were 2 of them.
There's 2 of them.
I think that the person who played Shaggy he was probably the one who was mainly in it. So he was
Miller.
probably
Yeah.
Matthew Miller's probably the one who was mainly falling around, and then the other guy switches in and he's like, I got this.
Well, he's a tall guy too, so like
Yeah,
to
which
put
makes
him
it
in
worse.
that, and then they make the cloak even longer. It's like, how did he even manage?
Yeah.
Or he's Shaggy.
Man, I couldn't catch you to stab you.
He doesn't run on the ground. He jumps up and then his legs spin around and then he runs after you.
It's like that scene in Scary Movie 2 where he's running down the stairs from the piano. That's like
Yeah.
him the whole
Yes,
slasher movie.
yes.
Everyone in favor of a 3.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
it's questionable.
All right, so we're at 6-3. So John Wick takes this round handily, and that puts him significantly up. Endurance.
Endurance, John Wick. It was what 2-3 days of nonstop bullshit.
Not to mention getting your fingers cut off in the desert and then returning back to the Continental. And
To immediately hop back at 5. I'm going 8 with the endurance. He definitely proved his endurance there
Yeah, that's understandable.
in just the 3rd movie alone.
yeah, I'll give him an 8.
I think an 8 is a solid number, especially when you match it back to the idea of his speed, because he's not that fast, but he will take those hits.
He'll take that 4 movement speed.
Yeah, a lot of times he is literally going like, take a blade through the hand to be able to punch you in the face. Is it effective? Not always, but does it show that he... Yeah, can he take the hit?
Going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that, as far as fictional characters that are not superhuman that can take that type of punishment, the only one that I immediately go to after that is like the Punisher. Actually, the Punisher is probably the first one I go
Frank
to.
Castle, yeah.
Not if we're talking about like the Netflix, like the John Bernthal Punisher. That man is
He took a
monster.
lot.
sitting there beating people up, hobbling like this after they drill through his knee, and he's just, all right, I'll beat your ass with one leg and a shotgun with no bullets.
Sheer determination in that.
Terminator.
I would have actually, if I could fit it into this one, I would have absolutely had the Punisher. I would like to have the Terminator, just supernatural enemies. Yeah. Let's say I guess I gotta keep Predator off there if I want to throw Alien on there.
No, you gotta have alien.
You could throw
Predator's
Leprechaun in to keep the
Predator
idea with
automatically
Chucky.
beats the Alien.
Any of them.
Not Leprechaun in space. He could be Leprechaun in the hood.
Leprechaun in the
Yeah.
hood, yeah.
Yeah.
Leprechaun in the hood, yeah.
First off, he was a tank.
Yeah.
He was a tank.
No, Leprechaun in space is actually
Even hit the
bad.
bong, he was still a tank, yeah. And he's got good rap skills too.
Yeah, sure does.
For a millennia-year-old little Irish dude.
Hey, let me drop a couple bars for you.
I hope that I never hear that in my life ever again. I think I became 3 shades lighter hearing that.
What are we doing for Ghostface as far as endurance?
He's more durable than your average person, but just
But it's
6.
I'd say
So-
maybe 6 or a 5
I'd say
even.
5. Definitely a 5. Motherfucker can't run.
I was gonna say most of his
Yeah.
having to be durable is his own fault. It's his
I
own
mean, just
clumsiness.
because but we're not talking about his skill and durability. We're just talking
Yeah.
about is he durable?
I
Is he?
know,
Can he
he's-
like take a
he's
hit
durable
enough to
'cause
get
he's
back up?
stupid.
Say he's kind of like a numbskull. So yeah, he's kind of durable. And since most people can't take a bullet and stand up without laying on the ground going, "Ah, you shot me,"
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him a 6.
Ah,
He's on the
Michael-
low end of superhuman slashers, but if we're being honest, most slashers in horror movies are put down by one bullet and they get back up and get shot
I'll
one
give
more
him
time.
a 6. I'll give him the benefit
I
of the
think-
doubt here.
I would say like a low end
So
of the
6.
6.
Low end 6.
Yeah, I say
Okay.
low end 6, but I'd give him a 6.
If we could do halves, it'd be a 5.5. But
Yeah,
we'll settle-
solid
we'll stick
solid
with whole
numbers,
numbers.
preferably.
Yeah, we'll settle with
I hate to
6.
say it, but you guys twisted my arm. We'll go with the 6. But I still
6.
agree it's really low.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a low
It's
6.
pushing it. We'll say it's just pushing the envelope a little bit.
And now we get into the one that I can't in any consciousness give Ghostface anything for. Fighting technique. What type of fighting does the fighter use? Are they skilled in hand-to-hand combat? We're gonna start with Ghostface. I'm
Ghostface
giving him
gets
a
a
2.
Ghostface definitely gets a 1.
I
for
give him
that.
a
You
1.
give it a 1?
1.
I'm gonna
What?
give him a 2. Just because he can be kind of tricky sometimes with like the over the phone, and he's got some tricks up his sleeve.
He's got a little
That's not
finesse to him,
hand-to-hand.
yeah.
What's the name of that robot from Futurama with the knife?
Thunder!
No.
No, the knife one.
Roberto. There you go.
Roberto.
He's that. He's like, now stand still while I practice my stabbing. Yeah, that is Ghostface.
It's the equivalent of Roberto. Oh my god.
I give him a 1.
I give him a
Just
1. I actually changed it.
Yeah.
We'll go with
I'm
one.
going
We'll go with a
We'll
1.
with one.
Yeah. How did he kill anyone?
They're civilians.
How did he even kill the civilians?
Again, no,
It's
he's,
hard
he's
growing up
working
to
on
be
it.
afraid of those movies because you sit there and wonder, like, I don't know, the first one came out in 96, but I watched it growing up. Like, at 5 years old, I watched it in '01. And my mom and I were sitting there, and she's like, "Aren't you scared?" And I looked at her and I said, "How is he killing anybody?"
The only one that even seemed
Confused.
like he should succeed is the very first one where he calls her and he's outside.
Literally.
Yeah.
And then everyone after that, he catches some people off guard where they're like standing still and he just,
The garage door.
yeah, there ain't much you
Yeah.
can do about that stuff, but
It's honestly hard to be scared when you're just so confused. You're like, "How can I be scared of you? You literally you're not doing shit."
Yeah, really.
you know, say
He has that weird, like, serial killer luck. Like, he gets lucky a
course.
lot.
I just caught you at the park right after the police. He's He's like the Jack the Ripper of serial killers, where I just missed the police that just walked by me as I was taking out her organs.
Yeah.
And then I ran down the street, killed somebody else right as the police just went by to have a smoke.
Then he take off his robe and his mask, and
Yep.
it's like it never even happened.
It's like, none of that happened. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I didn't kill anyone. Oh, well, then, put that knife away.
Wasn't me.
Shaggy. It wasn't me. John Wick. What would you guys give his fighting technique?
A 6, probably. 6 or a 7, because there were better hand-to-hand combatants throughout the movies than him. Like you guys did say, I will give it, he did get lucky. Being able to reach the Continental the one time, he lost that hand-to-hand match. The one with the chick, lost the hand-to-hand. There were a lot of stalemates. Don't get me wrong, he went against a lot of foot soldiers and won single-handedly. Fine. But
any of the ones with talent,
I was going to say,
lost
any
to.
of like the actual talented fighters,
But he's a better shooter than them and has better aim and has more. He's more driven, but he's
hand-to-hand. But again, this is also post-prime. Like, he's no longer in his prime.
That's
Probably
true.
in his prime, which is why he had, such a reputation. If we're going prime, John, 7, 8.
I'd say maybe an 8 if we're talking Prime John.
I would give him an 8 if we had any examples of Prime John.
As I say, we just have the boogeyman.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
only have the
just
idea
the
of him being the
boogeyman.
boogeyman, but even though he's the boogeyman, not a single person is unwilling to try to kill him. I would say,
Because anybody who has isn't alive right now.
I mean, just for the movies, as soon as people are told, I can kill you for money, every single last person who has the chance, including random homeless people and guitar players, is
it
like,
was $10 million.
Well,
if you tell me that this
it was $10 million.
for $10 million, if you tell me that this man has offed 500 people with a pencil and has had no issue, and they've sent 30 people, I'm not gonna go die for $10 million that I'm not gonna get.
I'm gonna try.
I'm gonna
I'ma
get
try.
shot.
I'm gonna try.
You know, in fact, you know why that doesn't make sense? Because you know how many other people will shoot you so that they can make sure they can shoot him?
That's gotta find a totem pole in order to get to the top.
People will kill each other to get. People killed each other
See, but
to
here's the thing,
get.
they work together.
People
So I
killed
don't
each
know
other
why.
to get Popeyes chicken sandwiches. If you're gonna
In
tell
my
me,
defense,
take away the.
They're
if-
delicious. They're delicious.
They're good, but
We
they're
can
not.
make it
They're not
worse.
$10 million
people
delicious.
were dying over Tickle Me Elmo in the 90s.
Yes, they
Like,
were. That thing was horrifying. I don't care what
Listen,
anyone
when
says.
it comes to Popeye sandwiches,
Shit
in
was good,
the
but-
line from one of my favorite movies, Popeyes is bitchin'. So if you ain't eating
Yeah.
Popeyes,
This
that's how you should have
society.
introduced yourself. Hi, I'm Marcel, and I identify as a problem today.
I'm gonna give him a 7.
I think a 7's a solid answer.
That's fair.
I would say he's less effective than other fictional characters like the Punisher, and he's significantly less effective than the Punisher. He's definitely not an 8 or 9 like Batman or Daredevil, where you'd have like, I can beat a whole room full of people with my bare hands and no tools. So that's I give him a 7.
I think a 7's a solid answer.
Better than most, but he would lose to some of the better hand-to-hand fighters that you see in some of these things. He actually loses to, like, Kill Bill. Yeah,
Kill
the
Bill
bride.
was a great
to
movie.
the bride.
We should have added her.
You know what's funny? I don't like Kill Bill. I actually do not like Kill Bill.
But the fighting.
The premise of it
Who
kind of threw
could
me
have
off.
gone up
We don't need
against
the
Kill
plot.
Bill, though?
We do not need the plot. We need the fighting. That's all.
The only thing that I care about where I'm just like, I don't care about the plot, that's Baki. That's the only thing where I will turn my brain off,
Godzilla?
ignore the fact that there is no good plot,
We
and
we
watch
just-
people throw fucking
watch
hands.
it.
We just
Get
gonna ignore
thrown.
Godzilla?
No, because Godzilla actually has
It
decent
does
plot in
not
some
need
of
a
the older
plot.
movies.
I am
The
not
older
watching
movies.
Godzilla for the plot. I am watching Godzilla to watch two giant kaijus.
Power Rangers and watch the same thing.
And I do. Who watched Power Rangers for the plot? Who? I watched it for the transformations, and I watched it for the bad guys to get their ass whooped. That's
I
it.
watched it to say, wow, if I had a nickel for every time one of them got arrested for doing something insane, I'd
Right,
have a
yeah.
lot of nickels.
All I can say is, at the same time where Power Rangers was around, I was just watching
Gundam had a
It
plot.
would had interplanetary politics and
Gundam had
religious
a
sex.
plot.
Ninja Turtles didn't need a plot. I mean, you
You're
already
full
started.
of shit. Ninja Turtles was great when it had a
Oh,
plot.
it was- it
2003
did-
Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
okay.
great.
So TMNT. Like
Yes, that
that's-
03 Ninja
that's-
Turtles.
Yes, that the plot was fire.
Ninja Turtles
The
was
fighting-
Daredevil for kids.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was. Depending on which version.
But
If you're
most
talking
of
about
us
that,
watched
like,
it for the
black and
action,
white
not
comic
really for the
one.
plot, mainly because we were too young.
All right, so intelligence. We're agreeing John Wick is.
He's far more.
Yeah, he's far more
Pretty dumb.
So
Yeah.
All right,
Pretty
he's
dumb.
kind of straightforward. Just
5, just a
square
just a
peg, round hole kind of thought process. Just
Yeah.
beat it until it stops. Regardless of the consequences, of course, that shows in the shooting Santino in the Continental, which led to him being excommunicado.
Excommunicated.
Of course, fighting a entire Russian mafia over a dog.
He won though.
No, therapy would have been the smart choice.
Therapy would have been a very smart
But does
choice.
anybody ever go to
Yes,
Really?
people who want to be healthy mentally.
I mean, you're right.
I mean, he came back pretty fine after that.
No, he went off to go fight more people and then ended up being called off by Santino to go kill Santino's sister, which got him in trouble with the High Table, which led to the mess in the third and fourth movie. Alright, we're moving on. Ghostface, intelligence, what do we think? Give me some references, etc.
him a 6. Going off the first one.
Ah.
That was pretty fucking fire.
I think yeah, I wouldn't put him that high. I'd say maybe a 5 or a
5.
4 because he is in the first one, yeah, because it's like the cleverness of 2 of them. But after that, he just gets real lucky and doesn't
Lucky.
really plan a lot of it out.
5 or 6. I'm not giving him a 4 because he's definitely above John Wick with his planning. It's not run into a place and hope I don't get shot to death.
Yeah, it's definitely not a I'll react when it happens kind of thing.
Do I want to give him a 5 if we consider 5 average?
I would say yeah, that's pretty good.
I think we agreed 5 was like dead center average.
Dead center average.
Let's see.
I'd give him a 6. I'd give him a 6. This is one of those moments where I think he's above the average person.
Keep falling on his goddamn face. He didn't think that part. through.
Well, I can't help him with the falling on his face part.
He
You
just wanted to look
His
cool.
outfit better.
you having no like depth perception and hand-eye coordination has less to do with your intelligence and more to do with you being a kid who probably needed to be outside
He
playing.
did his think it through.
Mom, go.
Yeah, he needed to be out
Yeah.
playing, needed to touch grass more rather than planning.
I think 6 is then a solid
Carpet
choice.
munchers.
We can bump it up to 6.
I don't know how much this is gonna help with how far down he is on some of these,
Yeah.
but I would say 6 for intelligence. Special abilities or powers, neither of them have any.
No, and not unless
Zero.
you're counting like the equipment, they really don't have any.
Yeah,
Special
I would
things.
give if they could have outside help, I would give it to John for being able to just pay a fucking assassin with a golden coin. But this is one-on-one. That's not allowed. And of course, if we were going off the first movie for Scream, Ghostface having a double
multiples.
would be great in this situation. But
Yeah, but then at that point, it's kind of just John versus the ghost faces, and it's just kind of the same thing as his
Yeah.
movies.
and he would just pay. He could just pay somebody to just shoot both of them, and I would take that. All right, not last one. Tactical prowess. I feel like tactical prowess falls in the exact same one as intelligence for score. Anyone could disagree with me, but Ghostface setting up traps, double phones, radios to get people to check parts of the house to be able to attack him with his shitty costume that he can't move in. The wild goose chases and framing people off for different things over and over again to be able to even get close to some of the targets that he has. While his end game might be lacking, his general strategy is, I would say, top notch.
I think I could agree with you there. He definitely would be the one to think ahead on that matter, whereas John would just kind of walk in and be like, "All right, what am I getting myself into?"
I mean, that's kind of, I would
If
say
it ain't
that's
broke,
exactly
don't fix it.
what John did for the shit, when he met the elder in the desert, he goes in and he's like, I want your help, but I didn't really think of how this gets solved, and then ends up having to give up his wedding ring and cut off his fingers. And then ends up turning his back on the high table again anyway. Only to then get shot by his friend after turning on the high table.
Not very good planning on his
Yeah, I
part.
was like, this is poor planning 101.
He survived though. The survivability. You gotta give it to him.
He only survived because Winston shot him in the bulletproof vest instead of in the face.
Yeah. Like if he had really
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna kill this guy, he would have aimed to the face
He
and
would
just
just
ended it there,
Plop.
right between the eyes.
It's done, and I get to keep my position. So I'm gonna give John a 4 again in this category, if not a 3, and give Ghostface a 6 again.
I think I could agree with that, especially if it ties into the intelligence. John wouldn't really think ahead in that matter.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, and I think we are down to our last few categories. Yep, last 3. Weaknesses. This one is one of the ones where
They're human.
you rate it lower. You rate it higher if they have less weaknesses, rate it lower if they have more. Other than being tactically unsound, I give John a 5. It's about average.
I
He
think
doesn't
about
really have a
average
lot of
agree.
is perfectly fine there.
Yeah.
And since everything that he loves is kind of dead, yeah, he really ain't got a lot to lose other than like having a life to just live, which is no more than anyone else has to lose.
Like my man gave up fingers. He really does not care anymore.
So he has some friends, but 5, he has no more friends than anybody else. He has less to lose than anybody else for the most part. I give Ghostface, on the other hand, 3. It's that fucking costume.
It really does.
Yeah.
Say it really even with it having a bulletproof vest in it, it's that fucking costume. If you're falling around and tripping every time you go anywhere, it's the costume.
It's that damn costume and the mask.
You get taken out by your own costume.
Like it's iconic, but it doesn't mean it's smart.
All right, we are almost done. One more, or 2 more. Overall combat effectiveness. What do you give an overall grade for both of them? Start with Michael. Just throw it at you. Overall grade for Ghostface, overall grade for John Wick.
Ghostface, I would give a solid 5.
Average all the way around.
Yeah. John Wick, I give a 7. I would really say John Wick is just more tactical than Ghostface when it comes to combat.
I feel like he's better.
You don't see John Wick tripping and falling every which way as he's trying to kill people.
The falling part is always the
Yeah.
part that gets me.
It's the kryptonite.
So I give Ghostface about an average. He's literally just an average dude in a costume. John Wick is a trained assassin. I mean,
All right,
yeah.
Marcel. Average rating for John Wick. Average rating for Ghostface.
Ghostface. Just based on the little bit that I know, I'd give him a 4 in a 1v1 against anybody, just overall. Regardless of who it is, I just have to give him a 4. He's not very good. As for John, survivability, combat knowledge, I guess, because he doesn't use it very well, but he has it. 1v1 against most people, average, I would give John probably a 6. A 4 and a 6.
Overall, between 4 and 6.
Yeah,
Which averages out to another 5.
yeah, yeah. Solid 5.
All right.
I think average, if we're going Ghostface, I'm probably going to say like about a 4 or a 5, because yeah, like Michael said, he's just an average dude in a costume. I mean, he really doesn't do anything all that spectacular, and he does trip over himself a lot, so, like, it's hard to really rate him too high or too low. He's just kind of there. I don't know how else to explain that. John Wick, he is more determined and has more adrenaline than anybody I have ever really seen. Like you guys said, besides Punisher, and that's pretty impressive. So I'm gonna go with the 6 or 7 for him.
Overall, I think accounting everything, Ghostface, yeah, he's got the weakness of the costume and the mask, which like we've beaten into a dead horse, but he was still able to successfully kill a good amount of people. So I think a solid 5 would be a pretty good, because 4 I think is a little on the low end, because yeah, he trips a lot, but he was still able to successfully get the kill anyway. So yeah, he fumbles, but he's able to still complete it. Whereas John doesn't really fumble; he just goes right in and just takes whatever damage he does to get the job done. So I think John could easily take like a 6.
Very gutsish.
More gutsish, I would say.
Which is a terrible way to fight.
Yeah.
If you want to be alive to do the next part. I agree with everyone's assessment of John Wick. I give him a 6 just because his experience, his skills, the sheer amount of people who are trained and talented that he faces down throughout the first movie to the third, and of course then the new fourth one. He faces down more talented opponents on the regular, and while some do get the best of him, some way more than others, I would say generally, if you lose 3 times but you win 400, you're batting pretty high. For Ghostface, yes, he gets a lot of kills, but it's almost all through. It's not through his prowess. It's not through his equipment. It's almost entirely through. Not luck, because he
Not
plans
even
it
luck.
out. It's very meticulously planned out, but the problem is that if it wasn't for the good planning, he would fail consistently. He's not a Myers. He's not a Jason Voorhees. He's not even a Leatherface in that sense.
Well, they all walk and can still get the kill. This man runs full
Leatherface
speed.
does not walk though. That man runs. He sprints with a chainsaw.
He's fast.
He still doesn't trip.
That is true. He does not trip, and he wears an apron and has a chainsaw.
He tripped.
That is also true.
There
That
you go,
would
end
be
of the
that would
movie.
be a very quick end to the movie. Trips.
The end. You paid $20 for this.
I was gonna say if that's how that would end. If I saw the first one and they made a remake and he just falls on it and chops through his face, I'd watch it.
He becomes a Mortal Kombat character that has to be his fatality.
He did become a Mortal Kombat.
Did he really?
character. And that was
When?
literally his. He'd knock you down onto it and then slap you with the meat hammer.
Yeah.
Mortal
into the
Kombat
chainsaw.
XL had Terminator and Leatherface and a couple other characters.
Yeah,
Mortal
and the
Kombat. I
current
didn't know
11
that.
is I think 11 has RoboCop, Terminator,
11 has
Rambo,
RoboCop.
and somebody else.
Predator?
No, Predator was on the other one. The other one was Alien, Predator, Jason, Leatherface. Actually 10 I think had that. Kind of like my favorite roster.
Jason was unstoppable
Fun
in
as
10.
hell.
That revive was unfair.
Tekken Tag Team. But I know what I play in that. I play King.
I'm real excited for the next Tekken and Street Fighter.
Same.
They look so good.
I got faked out by that by the YouTube thing that had Baki in it. I
Gotcha.
I was pissed. I was like, oh, I'll buy that DLC with that heartbeat. It'd be $40. But then it would be the only game I'm playing, because then I wouldn't buy Street Fighter.
Oh, I'm easily like that. I'm gonna disappear when that game comes out.
They're both of my favorite fighting games, unless there's a Marvel vs. Capcom coming out, which doubt.
I highly doubt after the last 2 failures of the Marvel games that have come
Fucking
out
Infinity.
recently, they're hanging on Spider-Man with a very hard hand because that's their only successful thing going on right
Just
now.
give me one more Marvel vs. Capcom, please. Just a good one. Just give me a re-release of 3.
Really, you could re-release it, or you could just carry it through the Spider-Man series and
Re-release
just
it
bring in
too.
Spider-Man and like Miles.
I'd be okay with Miles being in there. Can they just port over the Ultimate Alliance 3 to all the systems and not just on the fucking Switch because I can't play with anyone on a Switch.
Yeah, the FPS lock on that Switch too is terrible.
I'd like to have 60 FPS and not higher than 720p on a modern game system that costs almost $400.
I'd like to be able to play online with friends and not need a Ethernet converter and a whole TV hookup just to be able to not disconnect.
It's bad when a Raspberry Pi has better performance than a Switch.
Switch's
Raspberry
performance
Pis
is
are kind of for that. They're just kind
They're
of
a tiny little PC that costs less than a Switch.
but the modability for the Raspberry Pi.
But I can go
implies that.
buy a Raspberry Pi fresh off the market, hot and steaming, smelling like plastic,
Yes.
and it'll work better than a Switch that is tested and has millions and like somebody made that Raspberry Pi in China in their basement.
I mean, you could do the same with a PS2. That's actually what I'm doing, is modding a PS2.
Yeah, but you're modding a PS2. You didn't go, hello.
And I'm the racist one. What is this?
he's over here making Funkos. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh my god. Hide your dogs, hide your cats.
No, that's Vietnamese, you racist.
We're going full circle
Okay.
now.
Alright, we're moving on. Last category. Equipment. Who has the better equipment?
John.
Oh, easily John. I don't think it's a fight.
Hands down.
Easily, John?
John.
I think you
All
can
the way.
get Ghostface could get creative, but
I feel like their equipment's roughly the same.
I don't know. The bulletproof vest leaves him a little more wide open than the suit does.
That's
Granted,
true.
The suit doesn't block a lot. The
But
vest
the
still,
suit
it's
is
just
wide.
like covers your.
It just doesn't
chest,
cover. It doesn't cover,
appendages
knives.
and other things.
I'd say neither of them. I would say that the bulletproof vest helps. They're like the actual suit helps, and the bulletproof vest helps. But if we're being 100% honest, both of them are probably going to go for headshots.
Probably.
But
It's-
who's going to hit the headshots is the question.
The man with the built-in aimbot.
And I'll say in an abandoned warehouse, not John, because most of the time when you see him doing that, he's limp, bang, 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 spins the entire mag, swaps out,
mag.
bang, 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 bang. Oh, didn't hit. Bang, 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 until they get close and then they're stabbing at each other.
They are very overzealous with the amount of ammunition they use.
Like I think of it when I see his versions of the fights compared to let's take Punisher prison scene Daredevil season 2. Dead. Next person stab. Dead, 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 dead. No wasted motion for any of that part. There's a lot of John Wick just shooting at nothing.
And I think that's where Ghostface could take the advantage, is it would just be shooting at a lot of nothing and get him to waste his ammo that he has.
I think I want to give this one. I give John Wick the edge in this one, but
I think he's the edge, but overall, I think I agree with you. They're about the same.
it's about the same. Because a Bali Song knife is fine. It's a butterfly knife, but I'd rather have a hunting knife if I had the choice. Both of them are using Glocks.
One does have his face a little more covered, so his vision's not all the way there.
That is true.
That really help you in an abandoned warehouse too, because when you don't have anything to cover you, you can't see peripherally. You don't know if they're gonna sneak up on you or not. You don't
Now
have time to hide.
My only thing for that is, so say I can only see left, right. I can only see here. This stuff's blocked. We're in this dark warehouse, and I put my little radio over there, and then you start hearing clicking, clacking, and you head over that way. Pop, back of the head, straight through. And there's nothing, your suit won't save you.
You're giving him credit to shoot while in the mask, though. Granted, I think in that situation, he could easily just take it off and no one would
Yeah, it's
even notice.
it's not like he cares if he gets caught. Just
Yeah,
pop. Yeah, I would say they're fighting in an abandoned warehouse. Ain't nobody catching them. But I would give it about a 5-5 for this one.
I think it's about equal.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair fight.
However, I think our final score is
I have the score if you want to add it up.
let's do it.
I think it's heavily favored for
Yeah.
John.
It is definitely John.
Woo, John Wick.
All right, let's get started. Give me John's score.
5, 7, 8, 7, 4, 0, 3, 5, and 6.
I might have to have you run that over again. 5, 7, 8.
5, 7, 8, 7, 4,
7, 4,
0,
0,
3,
3,
5,
5,
6.
6. How was 6 the last one? The last one was 5.
Was it 5? I thought we agreed.
No, 6. They were 5. 5. It was tied.
Okay, 5.
Okay. 44 is John Wick's total score at the end.
About the amount of kills Ghostface has in total.
Seriously.
All right, give me Ghostface.
6, 3, 6, 1, 5, 0, 6, 3, 5.
35. So 35 to 44 is the final score.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
giving it to John.
I'd say John takes it pretty decently.
Marginally.
Not handily, where he just blows him out the water, but
He's gonna beat.
He
gives
definitely
he gives
beats
him a
him.
fair challenge.
I think the next battle, the next matchup is definitely going to be very close.
Yeah.
the next one.
That's
Since
Myers and McLean.
McLean.
so John Wick, Ghostface. John Wick takes it,
John Wick.
beating Ghostface by a
11,
handy about what 11 points.
11 points.
Yeah,
About
about 11
11.
points or 9 points. 35. It was 35
yeah.
to 44.
We can't do
It beats him
math.
by 9
Nope.
points.
Math is not a strong suit.
Beats him by 9 points. And then we're on to the next match. So John Wick advances to the second round, the semifinals, and then our next match will be Mike Myers versus John McClane. You think that one will be close?
I think that wouldn't be close.
Really?
I
With
think it'd be
John
close.
McClane?
I'll be honest. Out of the, this,
Okay,
this
again,
one's kind of a mixed match for me, but it was
Which
randomized.
Myers are we using? Which are we just sticking to the
honestly,
one
I don't think it matters.
We are using the 2018 Myers for this one primarily.
Okay, so if we're using 2018, I think I'm just going. I think I'm going to predict Myers. Now, if we were doing the Rob Zombie one, it would be significantly closer.
To be honest, I wouldn't give the Rob Zombie one much credence, only because
He took a lot, being set on fire, shot, broke through a bunch of shit.
yeah, but
he's also bulky.
he was
Yeah,
huge.
He was a
massive.
big
He was
boy.
huge, but he goes down quite a bit, and not like the 2018 Myers where he's like, "You chopped off you shot my fingers off with the shotgun." I'm not done.
That tickled.
He was ruthless. in
I love the
2018 version. I mean,
2018
he
one.
just went hard.
I wish that the other two movies were better. I wish Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends were better, especially Ends.
Halloween Ends was not
That was the
there.
worst.
It was
That was the worst Halloween movie since like The Curse of the Thorn shit.
I haven't seen it. I'm not gonna lie.
Don't skip it.
Don't bother.
It is a solid disappointment.
They do one of the biggest cliche things to try to keep the franchise alive and then just ultimately cancel it in the end anyway.
And it wasn't even done like in like a let's just bring back the slasher idea. They did like some weird like they start aiming like they're gonna do some Curse of the Thorn shit, and I was like, you know what, if they rewrite it like this might be cool. Drop the ball, and it's an entire disappointment. I would have liked to have just seen Jamie Lee Curtis get stabbed to death though.
The opening sequence though was kind of funny. The kid just getting flipped over the banister by the door.
Bloodline curse.
Yeah,
type
this-
of thing.
Wasn't that shit like described as being like from people who started in Ohio? I swear they said that it started in Ohio, and I haven't seen it, and I might go watch it again just to see if it says they started
And we
in
started
Ohio.
Michael Myers. Wow, I can't talk.
I'm pretty sure
And
that's
Children of the
true.
Corn?
It did start in Ohio. Yeah, Children of the Corn, and so did that one movie.
Yes.
The September 1920 or something. That was
Yes,
released
that
in
is
Southern
absolutely in
Ohio.
Ohio.
Or the devil was in Ohio. Ohio
I mean, if we're being honest, we produced the most presidents, astronauts, musicians, and serial killers.
What
So
a
that makes a lot of
crazy
sense.
thing.
We're like an isekai land, except you don't want to live here.
don't wanna live. Except Truck Coon ain't coming to visit you.
Well, he might. It'll just be running you over, and you don't go anywhere. All right, thank you for tuning in for the first episode of the Throwing Hands podcast, Heroes and Horrors. We'll see you in the next episode next week.